Konnichiwa.
Welcome to the Jandals in Japan podcast.
Kia ora, Catherine.
Konnichiwa, Jane.
How excited are we that it is not hot anymore and we've got the old warm clothes dusted off out of the closet.
Exactly. Japan has finally come into autumn. In fact, it's almost a bit wintry today as we're recording this.
And today we are discussing all things art, which is not a topic we've talked about before on the Jandals in Japan podcast.
No, we do try and cover lots of industries and sectors, but we are with art today. And Jane, you're more familiar than I am with art as it happens with the younger generation, especially with children at school.
Well, speaking to our guests today, it made me think a lot about what art looks like in Japan and how people interact with art, just your general average person in Japan interacts with art. And I think one of what we would say, the Japanese word is kiso. What's that English word? I cannot think out of my brain.
The basics? Is it
the basics or the base or the
foundation?
Foundation, that's the word. The foundations. There we go. Comes from elementary school or primary school, where a lot of time is spent on artwork and teaching kids art skills. And every kid has their own set of paints, their own palette, their own little bag that they carry it all to school in. They do painting quite often. Yeah. Which is frustrating as well to provide all of these things. But it's so that everybody has their own paints, their own blue, their own pink, like you don't have to fight for stuff. Like potentially we did back in New Zealand. We're like, all the green paint's gone, or we've only got yellow,
Where's
or whatever.
My brush?
Yeah, there aren't enough brushes. You've got your own brush set, right? And another thing is, for example, everyone has their own set of knives for carving woodblock prints. Every kid buys their own set. Well, their parents do anyway.
Really? That's
the company that
exciting.
makes these things,
Gosh.
like honestly. Anyway, for example, origami, right? All kids in primary school and particularly kindergarten as well spend a lot of time making origami. The thing I will say is that it can look a little prescribed, as in follow these directions, this is how you do it kind of thing, as opposed to just like, I remember taking my son to New Zealand kindergarten and him getting into the hand finger painting and just, go for it kind of creativity that we're more familiar with in New Zealand. But it's in a very Japanese way. They give you the rules and then you can use your creativity within the rules to create your own artwork. So yeah, there's a lot of time and effort put into children's art.
Japan was quite prescribed. I've seen draw this and it's a mountain and a house and a stream or something like that, and the kids will copy exactly the same thing and not usually use their hustle, their imagination.
Use this skill and this is how you do it, and then you're going to choose what you're going to paint or more like what I see today. So but yeah, like most Japanese people have some pretty good art skills under their belt
That is true.
that I
You
do not
see.
have.
You do see lots of them doing caricatures and pretty good at drawing, whereas my art was really shocking. We only had art class once every month, or maybe it was every week. I don't remember it being weekly, and learnt some techniques, but really not the same as you're describing. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I look at especially the elderly people in Japan, a lot of them are doing art, creative things, and all community centres offer these kinds of classes for people to go along to, whether it's doing watercolors or calligraphy or painting postcards or something. There's all kinds of classes, and my mother-in-law goes to most of them, and they do all these exhibitions to show off all their work. It's happening all across Japan in every community centre. So yeah, I don't think there's anything like it in New Zealand, the sort of dedication to
I don't think so.
art. No.
Fantastic. Well, that's it today, people. We are actually talking about the world of art and culture between Aotearoa and Japan, and it has intertwined with our guest today, Sarah Hudson, who was chosen as New Zealand's first artist in residence in the Setouchi Trienniale correct, Jane? Is that the
I
pronunciation?
think that's how she was saying it. I thought it was called the triennial, but
Yes,
anyway.
forgive me. I do introduce it as triennial, but I think it's triennially. So,
Mm.
yeah, she came along to Japan and spent over 2 seasons she spent here, and we hear all about what she did and how it changed her. And so, yeah, forgive us for having lots of goosebumps on this one, but we really enjoyed this resonance between Maori and Japanese worldviews on this particular conversation.
Yeah, let's hear it from Sarah. Kia ora, Sarah. Welcome to the Jandals in Japan podcast. Great to have you on the show today.
Kia ora, thanks for having me.
So, we like to start with a warm up question, and we are talking about art today. Is there a Japanese art form that you'd like to explore more?
Yes, definitely. I would love to come over one time and learn how to make sumi ink sticks. Here in Aotearoa and pre-colonially, Māori made kind of ink blocks for tāmoko, so like tattooing. And I've always been really interested in what those ink blocks were comprised of. And I think if I spent some time investigating in Japan, it might give me some more clues.
Interesting. Ah, yeah, I hadn't thought about that connection there with the ink and what they might use. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm sure you could find some answers if you come over and investigate that one. Very cool. How about you, Catherine? What
Wow.
is an art form you would like to have a go at or dive into?
My mind is just going into ink and thinking about that. I've never thought of that before. I'm going to try and find out some information for you. For me, it's hard to say, but I've done a bit of pottery in Japan. I've done calligraphy, but the thing that I tried a little bit that I'd like to do some more of is kintsugi.
Ah,
Kintsugi, right?
kintsugi. Yeah.
Kintsugi, the gold enhancement of things that have been broken and you put them together and through the damaged pieces it repairs, and that's imperfection coming back to be perfect, but it's not perfect. I haven't explained that very well, which obviously means I have to go and do some more study on this, but that's what I've got coming up for me. How about you, Jane?
Yeah, that broken, damaged, repaired is more beautiful than the original, right? That's supposedly what it's all about. Yeah. Um, Wood blocks painting. Well, people will know that big tsunami wave photo Hokusai, the name Hokusai has been very famous, but actually almost all children in Japan study practice woodblock painting. And my kids all own their very own set of carving knives that you use to do it. Recently, my 81-year-old mother-in-law also took up woodblock painting herself again. And yeah, it's a real art form that almost everyone in Japan does at some point in their lives. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'd like to give that a go.
We've got the art covered there for Japan. I hope we can do something for you there, Sarah. But as you said, Jane, at the beginning there, indeed, we're talking about art today in the Jandals in Japan podcast. And we welcome you, Sarah Hudson. You are an artist based in Whakatane, Aotearoa, New Zealand. Your practice includes Te o Rangatiratanga, sovereignty, and also whenua, the land. You express that through your painting, through performance as well, and sculpture. And we understand that you've exhibited both nationally and internationally. And we have you on the show today because over 2024 and 25, you became New Zealand's first artist in residence at Naoshima as part of the Setouchi Triennial. It's one of Japan's most celebrated contemporary art festivals. And we understand that you're also supported very ably by McCann House and Still and the Asia New Zealand Foundation. We can't wait to hear your story and all of the things that you were able to do in Japan, the connections you made, cross-cultural resonance between Māori, Japanese worldviews, all of those things. So let's get started. And first of all, Sarah, please tell us about yourself, where you're from in Aotearoa, and some of the background there from you.
Yeah, hi. As you say, I'm here living in sunny Whakatane, and I whakapapatu Ngā Te Awa, Ngāi Tūhoe, and Ngāti Pūkiko, who are all iwi who reside around these parts. I live here with my husband and my 10-year-old. I'm an artist and a mum. That pretty much covers all the bases.
Fantastic. And so, congratulations on being New Zealand's first artist in residence. We're just so excited to hear this story. Well, how did that opportunity come about?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, just got rejected from another artist in residence that I'd applied for, and then this one came up out of the blue. So I had a proposal and my CV all ready to go. I sent it off through McCann House. A panel of art professionals looked at it, and I was chosen to spend time in Setochi over the last year and this year. I've spent about 6 weeks coming to and fro, and it's been, yeah, awesomely supported by lots of people, both financially and also I get lots of help from my family here at home when I'm traveling around being an artist. It definitely takes a village to raise an artist, and I really appreciated that for this project.
I'm just sitting in front of a panel, must have been just really, really frightening with everybody, your peers there selecting, and they were choosing amongst other people. How did it feel when you finally learned you'd been selected?
Yeah, it was really exciting. And then, as I say, like I have lots of responsibilities and a family and career things that I balance consistently. So straight away, I kind of jumped to can I fit this in? And
Mm.
how can we manage to take the most advantage of this opportunity as an individual artist, but also my family as well.
Mm. Tell us a little bit about what it entails to come to the Setoji area and do this residency and be part of this. You say it's a triennial, right? Every 3 years or something, they offer this
Yeah.
amazing.
Every 3 years across multiple islands, there is an art festival. It goes for kind of different seasons throughout the year. And sometimes artists will just come in and show for the summer season. But my work has been there consistently throughout the whole year. And I was invited to travel, to learn about the place, do some research, and make a work that will then be shown as a part of the triennial. And yeah, the first New Zealander, which was really special. I came for like an initial research trip in about June last year, 2024. And that was a very rapid week of meeting people in Tokyo, going to Takamatsu, going to Naoshima, Migijima, so many islands, and meeting people who may be able to help me during this residency. I wasn't quite sure what to expect in that first initial week, but that research trip helped me then prepare and set up for two more trips of making and meeting and creating.
Right. So you created your work in conjunction with Maggie Jima, is that right? And so when you got there, were you like, ah, now I know what I'm doing? Or did you have some preconceived ideas before you were going there?
I tried to be pretty open, not make assumptions. I kind of always travel with what I'm interested in. You know, it always kind of catches my eye, particularly around land use. I love rocks just in general. And
Yeah, yeah.
so on Megajima, there were some things that caught my eye. So it was the rock walls
Mm.
or the ote that are built there, and they protect locals from the afternoon sea breeze. We also saw some older walls that were raised kind of gardens, and these rock walls reminded me of something I had read about an island off the coast of Whakatane called Motuhora, that there are pre-colonial rock walls there that were defensive rock walls. And there aren't many examples left of that type of architecture. So it's reminded me of a place that I had never actually been, but had only kind of read about as a theory. But I was kind of invited across the oceans to visit someone else's island and someone else's rock wall. So this tension was present throughout in amongst feelings of kind of gratitude and like wanting to make the most of it, but also what does it mean to be Indigenous and work from home most of the time, be invited onto other people's lands? How do I transfer the ideas that I'm passionate about to a context that is totally culturally different?
Wow, I've had major goosebumps listening to that whole story there, Sarah, about the rock walls. And yeah, like you said, you haven't seen the ones in Aotearoa, New Zealand yourself, but somehow there's still that connection there. And you found that amazing thread to connect two places. So cool.
Have you seen those rock walls back in New Zealand now since you've been to Japan?
No, I haven't. I
On the
haven't been
plan to do that?
able. It's definitely on the plan, and I reached out to the Department of Conservation who help kind of maintain that island and have said if there's any work that's happening there, I would love to tag along and support in any way that I can. There is kind of big ideas from our hapu, so like our kind of extended family that we would love to kind of what would it be? It's not reinvigorate, but start to practice again this idea of rock stone wall making or masonry. And one of my cousins has links to people in Hawaii who do it in their kind of indigenous ways. So hopefully in the future there might be some crossovers where we can share what some of those practices might look like. So definitely long term, longer term than a year-long residency, but being able to spend time researching and thinking about and talking to people about these stone walls has then kind of allowed me to have a bit more leverage when opportunities do come up. Yeah,
The new
I hope.
niche for you, stone walls, right?
Yeah,
Who knew?
I'm happy to be there.
Especially
Amazing.
since it called you, right, from New Zealand to
Yes.
Japan. It is just, it's so beautiful. And your work, I believe, is called The Stones Remember and I Listen, which also is goosebump generating to hear that now you've explained. Tell us more about your work, your art that you created. And where did you get the stones from to do that and choosing those?
It's such an honor to be able to work on a year-long project. That doesn't often happen. Like the work is a whole kind of series of work that uses stones as personal adornment. It uses earth pigments as the base for watercolor paint. It also uses indigo that was produced in the Kagawa Prefecture and a performance as well, which I created here back at home. The rocks that are presented on Megajima came from Megajima. I collected that while on residency and also in the install period. I was still kind of making and creating. And the paintings come from here at home. I was able to travel to Motuhora to collect earth pigments. That island is co-governed by iwi and the Department of Conservation. And so, as the local iwi, we have to apply for permits to gain access to harvest resources. So, once a year, or maybe once every 2 years, our iwi are able to go over and harvest kuia or mutton birds. And we're also able to harvest hangi stones from that island. There's a special type of rocks that we bring back to the mainland and cook with. This is only the third permit that DOC has given out for cultural harvesting, and for it to be an art-based harvest, was really important for me to kind of show there's lots of different ways that Indigenous people connect to land, and it's not just through food, it is through our creativity, our imagination, our resourcefulness, our resilience, basically. So that was a real proud moment to be able to go there and harvest under an arts umbrella.
You've certainly jumped through a lot of hoops to get what you need to make this happen. A quick question though, can we jump back to Megajima? Why did you end up on that island? Was that your choice, or did they say, this is the island you've got, go? Or how did that happen?
Yeah, we visited a few islands, but I think initially the Satoshi Trinali had an idea of where they wanted me to go, which was the Mikijima Elementary School. So that's a disused school. The school hall is used for kind of emergency purposes, and it's disused due to dwindling population, basically. So there were lots of classrooms in that space that I could choose from. And I found a kind of humble nurse's office to be quite intriguing. It had the tatami room at the back, and growing up in New Zealand, I don't have fond memories of the sick bay, but the idea of a place at school where you can go to rest and recuperate was really intriguing to me. I've been to lots of art festivals, and they can really drain your energy. They can be really full on. And so I had this idea of creating a kind of peaceful, restful place of contemplation in amongst a festival that spans a lot of kilometers geographically. Like it's a huge show. And then also a lot of ideas, a lot of artists, a lot of people wanting to share their point of views. I just thought I'd make a calm, quiet spot for art goers.
Amazing. And the sick bay is an icon in Japan. We call it a sick bay, but it's a nurse's office and sick room, and there's always a nurse there. It doesn't matter if there's only three kids that attend the school, they have a school nurse
Yeah,
who's there to look after them when they're not feeling well. Sometimes she's not very nice. It's a she, almost always not very nice, and that helps the kids to get back to class
yeah,
more quickly. But
I hear what you're saying.
but I noticed where you had your display, and I was curious about that tatami room, but it's obviously a very old school that still has that place where the kids would have probably laid down on a little futon rather than an actual bed, which is what
yeah.
modern school buildings tend to have these days. Very interesting.
Yeah, when I was on residency, for the first time, I stayed in Takamatsu for 3 weeks with my family, and I slept on a futon in the tatami room. And when I saw the tatami in the school, I thought that is the kind of comfort of home there in the school, and just to encourage people to take their shoes off, spend some time. I had a video work in there, 11 minutes long and quite meditative, to kind of encourage people to just slow down on what could be a rapid fire day of taking in as many artworks as you can. It felt quite wholesome to me.
I love how you just got so absorbed and you really were looking for the sound and the things you saw with your senses, I'm feeling. And it's almost like the place selected you, right? It's really beautiful. And did you find anything that resonated between your Maori culture and Japan more directly after you started to set up there? Did things start to feel very similar between home and Japan?
Yeah, I instantly recognized the difference in the age gaps between the city centers and the further you kind of got out of the city centers. So I live in Whakatane, it's not a main city. We have marae where people are wanting young people to come home and help maintain that community. So I saw the kind of aging population like on Megajima, and then the kind of influx of a variety of people that came through for the actual art festival, and saw how art has the ability to attract people back home, which was really, really nice. The kind of proximity to nature was really important for me and made me feel really at home. Like Megajima was very familiar to home for me. I live on the coast. There was kind of like this mudstone, sandstone, yellowy cliffs. The water was clear and beautiful. Being on an island felt really good. Yeah.
It's a beautiful part of Japan, isn't it? That keep calling it Setouchi, but it's an inland sea, isn't it? So there's all of these sort of protected islands. It's a very special part of Japan to be able to spend time in. So now you're back in New Zealand. What are you bringing back with you from Japan?
Yeah, I had the opportunity to bring the exhibition back. I had a simultaneous exhibition at the same time on Megajima and here at home. So that's the first time that I've ever done that. And it was really important for me to show my community what I do when I go away. I travel quite a bit for work, and I'm always wanting to bring something home, whether that's knowledge or research or artwork or workshops or however I can kind of wrangle it. And this time it turned out to be an exhibition. I made a lot of work while I was on residency, and I was going to split those up into two different shows. And about 6 weeks before the show opened here in Whakatane, I decided that I was going to make all new work because the context was very different. I wanted the narratives that are in my work to speak to people here at home. And I think when I was making for Japan, I was thinking about a different audience who may not have the kind of grounding knowledge that we do here. So I got to kind of like push the research a bit further, push the ideas a bit further. Yeah, that's what I got to bring back.
How was it with Japanese audiences over there, people who visited and saw your work? How did they engage with your art and what kind of feedback did you get from them? Feedback doesn't sound like the right word.
Yeah,
Feels too
no,
formal. So, how did they feel? How did they express their feelings to you when they saw your work? Tell us a bit more about you being there and having people come see.
I was there a couple of weeks before the opening in April, and I was setting up the exhibition. The really awesome thing about the Setochi Triennale is they had a kind of local open day before the press and before the official open day. So the locals came round and spent time, and it was lovely. So I was there for the whole day and it was just kind of open. There were lots of helpful volunteers and staff who could kind of mediate conversations. And a lot of the feedback I got was people appreciating the kind of quietness of my work. I think two other artists that I was in close proximity with in the elementary school were taking up a lot of space. It was very loud and vibrant work, and it was just quite different. It was quite a contrast between theirs and mine. And so I got really interesting feedback about the quietness. I do not have the Japanese language, and lots of people, we still managed to kind of share single words, which was really beautiful. I just tried to spend as much time around the work as possible just to kind of observe how people move through. And a lot of the time it was really slowly, which was a joy.
So beautiful. Gosh, I would have loved to have visited and seen it in situ. It would have been amazing. Has there been something that happened while you were there that you'd like to explain, maybe that changed you in a way? Because we find that most people who come to Japan do leave with some change within them. And you were there for a long time. Is there something about the whole festival or someone who said a little thing to you or a big thing that might have happened that has somehow changed you, moved you in a different way?
Mm. I think that visiting Takamatsu or Satoshi in general has made me really appreciate how art can exist outside of the main centers and even outside of galleries, and how much community and the natural environment and maybe dilapidated environments can bring to an art viewing experience. That's something that I hadn't really appreciated. When I travel overseas, primarily it's to the main centers. I'm going to see the big art institutions and see the big names. So to kind of really reject those notions with this Triennale was, yeah, had a huge impact on me.
Yeah, I think Japan has so many places that would just be amazing for this kind of thing. And I think there's a lot of that sort of local people coming together around, like you've explained, a school that's no longer used because there just aren't any children there anymore to recreate something. So yeah, what could we do back in New Zealand that brings life back to some of these places that are struggling?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Instead of just dismissing something because it's dilapidated. I love that word you used, and it's
Mm.
old and it's not new and functioning and bright and sparkly. Actually, no, there could be other ways to utilize space that we disregard very easily.
definitely. Space and funding. I think a lot of concentration of funds from the government goes to big established institutions that provide for a certain amount of our society, but I think that there's a really much more wider and broader arts access issue here in Aotearoa. It would be amazing to see some kind of like really big funding bodies to champion arts in the provinces.
So, if someone was thinking, I want to do what Sarah did, what's your advice? What should they be doing?
For the art world, it's definitely a long game, and sometimes you have to deviate to go to 9 to 5 paid jobs for a little bit and then go back to start following your dreams again. But yeah, probably thinking really long term and applying for things, applying for
Ah, yes.
opportunities. And I think that being an artist, you get like quite used to being rejected a lot.
Mm.
And that's okay. That suddenly becomes easier and easier and just part of the job. We're applying for a limited amount of things. There's a huge pool of us. Sometimes you don't get the things, but sometimes you do, and it's amazing.
Yeah, in the case of this one, yeah, you weren't necessarily going to apply, but it came around and you got selected. So you just don't
Yeah.
know, do you?
Yeah.
Wow. So if someone wanted to be in this next trainee, is
Yeah.
it,
Triennial or
what's
triennale.
yeah, give us some tips.
I think that I was chosen because I had recently been on another residency here in Aotearoa. So again, it's just the applying thing.
They wanted to
And
see that you knew what to do, right? They weren't going to invite you all the way to Japan potentially if you don't know how to do it, right?
yeah, it's
Right?
just that
Evidence
keeping
of.
and maintaining a track record
Mm.
of your creativity and your passion for the job, really.
I'm also interested too because I think we should talk about the people that enabled you to come here because there's a lot of logistics, the sponsorship that you got, the partnerships that are there that are already established. McCann House and Still, and I think the family that runs Banese over here too. Can you talk a bit more about them and how they helped you? Because I think that's something that people may not be aware of as well, and that if you are a New Zealand artist and you do want to come here, there are ways and means if you have that support.
Yeah,
Could you talk a bit more about
definitely.
those people who helped you?
The McCann House Trust run a series of art residencies and a very artist focused. I see them running residencies, but I also see them advocating for artists, full stop, but also arts policies that can help artists too. This is the first time that I have ever engaged with patrons. So there were patrons who support McCann House Trust who also kind of helped me on my way. And that was a cool model because I don't know, the idea of arts patrons, you kind of have this picture in your head of people that I've never met before, but to kind of spend time with people who are passionate about the arts and wanting to support and generate new work was very human and generous, and I think just kind of needed to meet some people, I guess. So McCann House helped with that. And the Fukutake family have a house in Aotearoa. And so there's that kind of link. And they are the family that started the Benesi Arts House site. And this is the first time that they've engaged with an artist from Aotearoa to go over there. So I hope that I'm the first of many because to know that there are these kind of philanthropists that live in Aotearoa with such kind of deep connection to the arts is really unique and special.
Wow. I have to ask you, was there a Japanese word that you picked up while you were here? And also, what reminds you of Japan? Is it maybe that word or something else, a smell or a sound or a taste of Japan that you think of even now sitting where you are talking with us?
Yeah, it's really basic, but just combini egg sandwiches. I think about them all the time.
Oh, they're good, aren't they? Sorry, I can't put it in my suitcase and take back to you.
You
No, it's not allowed
know,
in New Zealand, but yeah, tell us about those.
Why does everyone rave about them?
so I think it's mayonnaise. I think that's why they're so delicious. I think potentially they're mostly mayonnaise, but they are soft white bread, eggs, and mayo, and and
Absolutely.
and that's it. It's
Good
pretty
on you.
simple, done right.
Have you tried to
Um,
recreate back in New Zealand?
yeah, I have haven't quite got the bread.
The
It's the
bread is a
bread.
problem too, right? Even
Yeah.
if you can get yourself some Kewpie mayonnaise, getting that fluffy, light white bread is just,
Yeah.
yeah, really tricky. Mm.
But just kind of combine lifestyle was amazing to have access 24/7 to fresh, cheap food. That's not a
Mm,
thing here, really.
true.
It's not a thing in my town anyway. The kind of like capability of the Japanese food system, I guess, was very impressive.
Oh, I'm glad I asked you that question.
Yeah. And in terms of words, I think that sumimasen and arigatou gozaimashita got me very far. An
Yes.
excuse me and a thank you gets me far in every country I go.
And you've got a great smile. That would have helped too, I'm sure.
Yeah, I had such an amazing time when I was with there with my family. My daughter was just treated with such kindness. And we had kind of taxi drivers giving her origami or a little bag of chips or what, like there was a generosity towards her that I really cherished, and I could see how children are respected. Even kids walking to and from school, kids are given their own space. They are, yeah, just respected. I really loved it.
Children are the community's children, so everybody looks out for the community's children. Yeah, I just love that aspect as well. Being a parent here in Japan, I know that my community is looking after my children when they're out and about and around doing their things around our community.
Mm. It
Mm.
is
Yeah,
very
it's a
special about
care.
Japan. And so, Sarah, what would you like your legacy to be, having been in Japan where we're sitting and you're back in Aotearoa? What legacy do you hope this exhibition will give to you and leave behind here too?
Yeah, I hope this is a kind of example of pathways for other artists. I know that many have gone before me, and I hope that many will do so afterwards, but to kind of see the landscape similarities and the kind of cross-cultural value systems that I think were quite similar. I hope it encourages more people to go. It's just one flight away. That's what I love. One flight.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah, so is there something that you wish we'd asked you? Have we something we've forgotten to ask you?
I feel like I need to say that in Takamatsu, I ate lots of udon.
Oh, of course you
Um,
did.
and
Yeah.
that was quite a kind of a life-changing moment for my family. We had only ever experienced the kind of like dry stuff we get here in Aotearoa, but to
Mm.
have to kind of see how different the Japanese cuisine is when it's made fresh and the kind of care that goes into it, that's something that I've yet to recreate here at home.
Yeah, Takamatsu especially is very famous for its udon. Ah, wow. And if there's one thing, Sarah, that you could distill from your learnings of being in Japan, maybe that's going to be helpful for other Kiwis coming in through here doing business or just entering Japan and doing some kind of activity here, what would it be?
I would encourage people, if they can, to get out of the big cities and go for an adventure off the beaten path. You don't even have, the transport is so amazing. It's not too strenuous, but just out of the main centers, because I found lots of great personalities and food and landscapes and yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah. It's been absolutely fabulous having goosebumps with you and listening to your experience as the first New Zealander here to participate in this beautiful experience that you've had. You are now officially a Jandal in Japan. So, welcome to the crew. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you so much for your time, and it's been really cool reminiscing about my time in Japan. I want to come back.
We hope to see you here again. Thanks.
Wow, thank you, Sarah, so much for reminiscing with us and sharing about her time over in Japan in Setouchi.
Yeah, I've been there in that area and it's just really a beautiful place for people to visit. Perhaps it's off the beaten track. You do have to take a ferry to get there from the mainland, but it's so worth it. You can get round on a beautiful bus they've got going round the island, the main island. There are ferries in between each island, and you can cycle round as well. It's just so much fun there. I can't wait to go back. I'm very inspired now again from Sarah, and imagine seeing that place where she exhibited too and the serenity it brought. I thought that was magic, right? That we're so fast paced in Japan all the time. But to find that quiet moment, the stillness, even the locals were talking about that stillness of the place where she was with her exhibition. I thought that was very interesting. It's very hard coming here to find quiet. You can find it if you look, but I thought that was something that really stood out for me.
Yeah, especially if you're, like she said, visiting the main centers, it's pretty hard to find, but plenty of it going in the outside the main centers if you're willing to make an adventure out there. But as you say, all of the trains and buses and ferries are all very well set up for you to go and visit that. So definitely do
Yeah.
that like I promise to in the near future.
And the other thing, I've got it on my paper here, art attracts people back home.
Mm.
So true. And I think of even my own house and my office, I have pieces of New Zealand art in both spaces because even though I'm in Japan, it makes me feel drawn to home. And it's a physical representation because it's art. And I usually have talked with the artist. I know where it's from. It reminds me of those places back home. So art connecting with people in a way that is sometimes very underrated. And I thought that was really brilliant too, Sarah. Thank you.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
cool. And I love how going through that process helped her to reach a new level back home, overcoming bureaucracy and all sorts of things to get access to her family's treasures on that island that they wanted to harvest, right? It
Amazing.
gave her an opportunity to do that through going to Japan.
Yeah.
What a
And
what
I
a
mean,
wild set of circumstances. But she
exactly.
did it. She made it happen.
Wow, very proud of her for doing that, and
Mm,
love that she also said, try once. If you don't get it, try again. And there you go, with all that support from the people
yeah,
that we mentioned with McCann House still and the Fukutake family.
very good.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and also that very cool tip of showing how, you've been constant in your creativity and that you are someone reliable so that you could do something amazing like that and be
Mm,
chosen for something like that, right?
yeah, that was
Yeah,
great.
very cool. Alrighty, more jandals coming soon. We have got lots of interesting jandals
We
in
sure
the
do.
in the shoebox, in the getabako, as they say, waiting for their turn. So yeah, stay tuned and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you check out our guests' links in the show notes.
This podcast is brought to you today by Catherine O'Connell Law and Pod Launch with Jane. If you have a great story you think should be on the show, come and find us on LinkedIn or Instagram. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time.
Mata ne!